And we're back.
Let's-
What the fuck did I ask before Discord started dying? That's the real question.
We didn't hear.
Yeah, you were
Oh,
a robot.
what language is the book written in?
What language is the book written in?
Excellent question.
That is an excellent question.
Thank you.
Well, I guess is it like
Vondal, what would
Latin,
you consider
probably.
your native language?
probably Dwarvish.
It appears to be written in Dwarvish.
What the fuck?
I have a feeling it's not written in Dwarvish for all of us.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, okay.
That's
if that's
metagaming. Yeah.
no, I mean, if Vondal picks up a book here that's written in Dwarvish, he's definitely gonna like turn around to everyone and go, "This is weird," and hand it, and he probably hands it to Kelariis because Kelariis
Okay.
is there,
Oh.
and goes, "Can you take a look at this?"
Okay, so I'm assuming you're going to pass it around all of you. It appears in whatever you consider your native language to be,
Oh.
but the content is the same.
Well, we should probably save this book for later.
Yeah, I'll take
Yeah.
the book back.
Okay.
I want to read this.
Oh, actually, did we ever establish who was actually holding on to the golden staff thingy?
Yeah, we
crystal
need to
staff.
I don't
establish
think
that,
we
that we're
said,
in the bag
but-
of holding. We need to
Yeah, we're
establish
in the bag of
that
holding,
it wasn't in the
so-
bag of holding.
I mean, I can
can hold
carry
on
this
to it.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say Helena's probably the best person to hold onto a staff. Or
Yeah.
V, even.
But your big stick.
I have two hands.
Boom.
Yeah.
Now you've got
They-
two
They,
big
they will also probably both fit in the sling on your back, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, now you've got two big sticks.
Well, one of
One's
one
got
of them
a-
is made of
them-
like metal and stuff, but
Yeah, and it also houses a gemstone, which in turn houses the Forbidden City. But
yeah,
it's still
I'm
a big
just
stick.
gonna name it Staff of Forbidden City in my
Yeah.
inventory.
or forbidden staff.
Forbidden
well.
stuff.
Okay.
Staff.
Stuff.
Are you investigating the other dressers?
Yeah, actually, yeah, I guess I'll investigate what's actually in this dresser.
Okay. So,
Than just-
searching the entire room,
Okay.
you guys find a number of very old, sort of like, they look like ceremonial robes, dresses, pajamas, etc., that were once made of incredibly fine silks, but due to the nature of organic clothing and time, they have long since like been eaten by moths and creatures and have decayed beyond recognition. However, you do find remains of one of the things must have been very extravagant, because set into small sockets that must have been part of the clothing are 3 perfect black pearls.
Oh.
Cool. Put them in
And
the
a
bag of
massive
holding.
bag of holding.
Yep, bag of holding.
Probably these things are probably very, very expensive.
So basically, we've got 3 tiny model ships.
I was gonna say, who's gonna make the Black Pearl joke first?
No.
I did it.
But that wasn't perfect, was it?
Also contained within a a cabinet underneath are a number of potion bottles, some of which appear to have gone off and have sort of formed strange acrid green liquids that, like, when you take the cork out of the bottle, they smell like you probably shouldn't drink them.
Fair.
However, amongst them you find you find 2 potions of red liquid. One of which looks very similar to the healing potions that all of you have handled in the past, and one of which is a bit odd, because as you pick it up, it feels warm, but the heat pulses almost like a heartbeat.
Ooh,
That's sketchy.
that's spoopy.
Well,
And
that's
just the things.
magical, probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
Can I? Well, I guess Vondal would hand it to V as the expert on potions.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
say, you have any idea what this is?
Sure, I'll check it.
And I'll offer help to identify.
What do I roll?
Give me Arcana checks to identify the 3 potions that you have picked up. You can do 1 check for all of them with advantage. Okay.
24.
So, one of them, the one you picked up in the treasure room, that you sort of swirl it around to try and investigate what it is, and the contents disappears.
Okay. What?
After a few seconds, it comes back again. You suspect that if you drink this, it is a potion of invisibility.
Huh.
Funny how they always have similar characteristics.
The potion that looks like a health potion is a health potion. It is a potion of supreme healing, which is, I believe, it's quite a lot. It's
8 or 16.
potion of healing. It is. That is not the right thing. I will look it up now. Superior healing is 8d4 plus 8.
Whoa.
Wait, superior, but you said supreme.
No, I said superior, I believe.
No, you said supreme.
No, you said
Definitely
supreme.
Oh no, I did say supreme, so that's 10d4 plus 20.
Whoa.
Oh,
Mate.
you can still retcon it if you want to.
No, that's fine. I don't care. I mean, 10d4 plus 20 is actually not that much for you guys.
No,
No.
not
But
really.
it could save a life.
It could, it could potentially do 60 healing, which is quite a lot, but it is a one-use item.
It is a one-use item.
I mean, that would heal V completely, right?
Oh yeah, easy.
Yes.
But that's assuming you're all max. Max.
Well, yeah.
The
Well, my max is 42. I'm pretty sure it would heal me to max. Usually.
Yeah, the final one is a potion of renewed vitality,
Ooh.
which will, I believe, remove any exhaustion from a character that drinks it, remove any poison or disease that you are afflicted from, and for the, I believe it's the next 24 hours, any hit dice you use automatically heal for the maximum amount.
Nice.
Oh shit.
Give that to V.
No, it would be terrible on me. You could
No,
use
I
it
would
for
say,
Grim.
I would
Yeah.
say now, put it in the bag of holding. And we can decide who gets it when we're not in a mummy's tomb.
Eh.
I
That
just thought
shit's
maybe it
valuable.
would break your terrible streak of rolling nat ones on it.
Yeah, but it's got other
No,
effects you have to bear in mind as well.
Yeah.
She didn't actually roll that many nat ones because that would have been zeros.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's a minimum of
Well,
one anyway.
It is minimum of 1, we have established that
But there's
now.
a big
Yeah,
difference in
but-
me rolling badly on hit dice and Grim rolling badly on hit dice.
Because V's
Yeah.
is a d8 and Grim's is a d10.
Mine's
Yeah,
a
but-
D6. My
Oh, yours is a d6.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not even D8, spellcasters.
Yeah. Well, but luckily I don't need it too badly.
Yes.
Like I have.
But yeah,
I have.
let-
Honestly, the best person to give it to is probably Arya, but
Well,
Yeah,
I
let's-
guess it's gonna depend on the situation.
why? Because
Well,
you
shall
have
we-
the same hit die size as Grim and have no other way of healing yourself.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well,
That
anyway,
is
we'll put it in the bag of holding for now.
Yes.
But when we come
Yeah,
to it.
let's put it in bag of holding for now. Let's get out of here.
I think we should probably call it a day.
Yeah, get out of the tomb, and then rest.
Actually,
Or like rest just inside the tomb.
I like. If we can make sure that the treasure room doesn't get locked, I feel like the treasure room would be the safest place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, alright.
And
Also-
it doesn't feel as horrible in here anymore, so.
Also,
Alright
let's
then.
keep an eye on this. Well, hopefully dead guy now. At least more dead than what he was.
Yeah, you can certainly make efforts to try and jam the secret door open.
Or is there like an obvious mechanism from this side?
I would say, given enough time, you could probably find a way to jam and secure it.
Well, even then, I could just fucking make a door
That is true.
in
Yeah,
the
but if you
secret
don't
door.
have to, like, again, that would be better.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you make efforts to jam the secret door, and you can take a short rest, long rest rather.
Long rest. Let's
Just
go.
a short.
Okay.
Shortest one.
Love the long rest right now.
Yeah.
And we add another day to our bill.
Why are you adding days to your bill?
Yeah,
The
I got
inn from
paid.
the inn.
Yeah.
Oh, what? Because they're looking after your stuff.
Yeah, like we
Yeah.
like, remember we agreed that I would like keep track of every day that so we knew how much we owed them.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah. I guess if your tab is running, they're charging you even if you're not there for it.
I mean,
Yeah,
our
'cause
stuff
they're
is
looking
still
after all
there,
our stuff.
so-
Yeah. They're looking after a lot of our stuff.
Yeah, horses and things. So, as you take a long rest, who is keeping watch?
I'll keep watch.
Okay. Give me a perception check. Okay. Discomfortingly, for the entire night, well, for the entirety of your watch, you hear nothing at all.
Wow. Cool.
I assume Arya takes the rest.
Yeah.
Make me a perception check. Throughout the whole night, it is eerily, eerily quiet.
Well, there's no marching skeleton.
You wake up the next morning.
Wait, did we eat?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Vondal, did
I
you cast
did.
a spell?
I did still have a spell slot left, so yes,
Okay.
I did. I ate food and water.
Yay.
Okay.
How many spell slots do you have?
Uh,
It feels like you have infinite.
3. I have 3 third-level spell slots, but I only use 2 third-level spell slots.
An important thing to notice, as the 24 hours elapse on your leftover food and water, well, or your leftover water, the leftover water does not evaporate.
Hooray!
Oh,
We've broken the
yeah.
curse.
Wait, but doesn't it evaporate due to magic?
Yeah, well, the magic
It
was
was-
clearly
it was
caused by the Mummy Lord.
yeah.
No,
it
no,
was-
I meant like but the spell itself.
No, the
No, it
food
doesn't-
does,
no,
the
the water
water
doesn't.
does not.
The food,
Uh,
yeah, the food spoils after 24 hours, but the water remains good.
Yes.
Yay.
Yay.
It was the curse that was causing it to evaporate, not...
Nice.
Cool. Right, let's get out of this tomb,
Okay.
and let's find Celestra.
You head out of the tomb, back into the catacombs. Thank you for that input, Lyra.
Fork.
We did not really find much of the wow, somehow I forgot their name.
Dread Legion.
Dread Legion. That's like the Tyrant, no, the Dread Legion. We didn't find much of the Dread Legion in there, did we?
No.
Apart from the artwork to Thera's Dune.
Yeah, but
Although that's the thing, actually. Can I say as well that like I spent part of the because not all of the long rest is necessarily sleeping.
Yeah.
So can I spend part of the long rest just reading the book, the big black book? 'Cause it's making me curious.
You certainly can. Make me an Arcana check.
Damn it. That's not very good.
No, okay. So, let me read the description of said item. It's not in the SRD, so I need to look it up manually. Oh, it is in the compendium. Okay. So you spend probably like an hour or so reading this. At which point, I guess you're reading this sort of like while you're eating, and because you're reading with one hand and eating with the other hand, you actually drop one of your eating implements while you're doing so, and you try to catch it with your free hand, and with surprising dexterity, you catch it.
What?
Oh.
Yeah, it's one of those books. I knew
Yeah.
it.
Hmm.
Fortunately, we didn't.
Cool.
Like Arya didn't get to read it.
Well,
Surprise.
the moment, like a couple of hours after you stop reading, you feel the effect on you fade. You suspect if you were to spend an extended time reading this, it might have a more permanent effect.
Oh.
Hmm.
In mechanics terms, you need to spend 48 hours over a period of 6 days or less.
That's a
Reading-
lot of
reading the
hours.
Oh yeah.
Reading the book and practicing its guidelines. If you do so, you may find yourself being more dexterous.
Everybody making the eye emoji at Arya right now.
Right.
Yeah, Vondal
Why
probably
we
like.
all make
I
the
guess then-
analogy, mate? Stop making those eyes.
I guess
emojis.
then before the long rest, Vondal would walk up to Arya, hand her the book, and say, "You might want to spend some time reading this."
Well, I do have 4 hours of sleep that I'm not getting, so sure.
That's true.
Yeah.
You are going to need to spend a little bit more than 4 hours a day reading it, but
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, like it gets you halfway there.
Living on a prayer.
okay.
Whoa,
So,
take my hand. We'll improve our dexterity.
are you heading further down? Or are you
Yes.
going back to the
Yes.
surface?
No,
Yeah, we
going
just
down.
went down.
Okay.
Down, down, down.
So,
Like astral hides.
as you are descending, you begin to notice signs that, had you continued to press on, you might have felt the Mummy Lord's presence a little bit stronger. Much like when you encountered the column of marching soldiers, you find several more collections of these undead that have fallen where they stood.
Ooh,
Oh, fun.
nice.
Almost as if dispelling the Mummy Lord's influence on the area ceased the efforts of the undead down here.
Nice. I'll take it.
Let's hope that reduces the resistance we meet.
It certainly seems to. As you travel for a number of hours without meeting anything save these weirdly arranged collections of skeletons that just you'll round a corner into just a pile of bones, like regimentedly laid out in a corridor.
Joy.
By the way, I've put some more oil flasks into my inventory and lit a new one.
Okay.
Oh, you've taken it from the bag of holding, I assume.
So, after about another day's travel, you descend another layer. And with the day's travel after that, you descend yet again.
Oh shit, I have all my hit dice back.
It's almost unnerving that you've travelled for 2 days without a single interruption.
That means there's a big bad boss waiting for us at the end. Oh boy.
Or Ferrous is just trying to creep us out with the possibility that there is a big bad boss at the end.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Who knows?
I mean, it could also literally just be because all of the resistance we would have encountered was a result of the Mummy Lord, which is no longer an
No
issue.
problem.
And we could have easily
Question mark.
skipped them.
Yeah. I think this is just, he had a lot of shit planned if we didn't murder the Mummy Lord.
That being said, though, Kelariis is probably a little on edge for going
Oh no, yeah, same.
so long and so deep without
Yeah.
anything weird happening.
I mean, same with Vondal.
Yeah.
It's probably not good for our sanity.
He's fine if you cast daylight a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah, you all find yourselves a little bit on edge by the end of the second day.
In fact, on that second, in fact, it's probably the start of that second day, Vondal casts daylight.
Okay. So you all benefit from a little bit of daylight exposure.
Yay.
Which I guess means I should still build up spell slots. It's the second day, or do we rest? Or rest the
Yeah,
day as well?
you rest on the second day before reaching the tomb.
Cool.
Assuming
Yeah,
you're
like
traveling
in
at the same regimented pace, yes.
Probably, yeah.
Yep.
And then, like, I think I make a point of checking in with the Syrah because, like,
Okay.
this is a long time kind of, like, casually dungeon delving, essentially. Also,
Yeah.
that was a lot of undead things we fought.
Yeah, so you're setting up camp one evening, and Tallithsyr's just sort of there, just doing the same sort of regimented thing that you do every night, just checking your gear, making sure your blades are sharp.
Yeah, and I guess, like, I kind of just approach and say, hey, you doing alright with, all of it?
Yeah,
All of this that we do?
yeah, I think I'm fine.
It's a lot and it's different. And it's okay if you're not totally comfortable with it yet. And like I kind of lean in, just like, it still kind of weirds me out a bit sometimes too, but it is what it is sometimes, you know?
She doesn't say anything in response, but she just sort of nods.
I mean, aside from the leaning in, I guess, was the first part of that like you just.
I mean,
conversation, or did you,
I'm
like,
assuming this is sort of like this is a side conversation, like while you guys are doing something else. So.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's not like I'm gonna take her just specifically to the side, but I probably
Yeah.
waited till it wasn't everybody crowded around somewhere.
It's obvious that this is a private conversation to an outside observer. It's not like being had at like sort of group conversation volume.
Yeah.
But you know, you're doing really great. That's a horrible way of saying that.
Yep.
Connor. Good job. No, I'm glad that you're here. You have grown a lot since we met again. And I'm very glad that you are my squire. I mean that.
Much in the same way as when V is exposed to daylight, Tallithsyr visibly brightens.
I'm proud of you. You know that, right?
The brightened goes very quickly to as much as she can blush.
I can't believe she's fangirling right now.
Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't? Senpai has noticed her.
Tallithsyr's internal monologue right now is just ah.
Good and relatable.
I give her like a good, like, you know, like tough, not tough. Yeah, like a tough side hug, but like
Yeah.
it's a proper hug, but you know.
One arm or two arms? That's the important
Yeah.
question.
I mean, it was a side.
Yeah, you can only really sidearm hug with one.
Yeah.
Two is a bit weird.
It's just like, hey.
Two is a stretch.
No, it's
Two
a
is
side
like you're
hug, but
clinging
it's a
onto them
proper
like,
hug.
hey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you say it's a bro hug?
No.
It's not a bro hug, because that's when you like
No,
do
I
the
know.
hand clasp and
Yeah.
slap each other on the back thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is. Bro hugs are so weird.
Yes, they are.
They're fun to do sometimes, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how you have experience with bro.
Yeah, I love how
Oh no,
Jayla-
absolutely.
Yeah, that's what you do. You both hug someone unexpectedly. Like, you just go for a normal hug, and then you just pat them on the back loads, and they're like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever done that, but
Man.
maybe I'm just not bro enough.
Yeah,
be
you're,
more
you're only
bro.
at nod level.
I've done it many
Yeah.
times. Anyway.
You're yet to progress to the level of hug.
Yeah, Tallithsyr is just kind of like, this is all very overwhelming after everything that has just happened, and I don't really know how to respond to this.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I am worried about her as a player, and also Kelariis is worried about her, because, like, she knows that it's a lot to suddenly
Yeah.
be in these sorts of situations, but she's also very bad at being like, let me comfort?
Yep.
So, she's doing her best.
Yeah, it certainly seems to have the desired effect.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, and I'll, like, stick around with her, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, she certainly seems to appreciate the time taken.
Well, that's good. I was worried about her.
So, you guys long rest and prepare to proceed on the short remaining distance towards the tomb.
Cool.
So,
Get in there.
as you approach this tomb, it's somehow not what you were expecting.
What way?
Flanked by a set of golden cherubs is a massive archway inset with a beautiful wooden door that depicts a warrior woman raising a spear above her head, and below her many figures, human, tiefling, even a couple of other races, all manacled and chained, shattering the bonds of their manacles underneath them. And it's... Kelariis, something doesn't sit right with you about this. For the tomb of a warrior and one who serves the same deity you do, this is very extravagant.
Right.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, it's just...
You don't do extravagant.
It's a bit... It's not exactly selfless.
No. But I think... I might be remembering this wrong, but wasn't she... Like, her body was moved later to this tomb, right? Like, this isn't where she was originally buried or anything like that, I think.
No, this is the place that she was originally buried.
Oh, okay.
It's just that this tomb was not originally made for her. It was repurposed.
Oh, okay, I see. Huh.
Although it is clear from the way that it is built that obviously these doors were added later as a thought after.
Right. Okay.
presume you open the doors and enter.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doors
Very
opening.
much so. Get in there.
Okay. So, let's change the music. What is a fitting song for this? I don't really know. I guess we'll use this track. Okay, so as you enter this tomb, it's like stepping into somewhere different. There's none of these dimly lit corridors with cobwebs and darkness. The moment you step into this, it's like you're stepping into a cathedral in daytime. And you step into a spherical room, probably 50 feet in diameter. And from somewhere above you, there is a light that is coming down that is almost like sunlight. And positioned around the outside of this room are... let me do the quick maths.
Best maths.
There are 7 tombs. Sort of like, if you've ever seen sort of any of the old English cathedral tombs, they're like a big stone slab with a heavy, like a heavy stone covering over the top of them, that is sculpted in the likeness of that individual that is entombed there.
Right.
And from as you go around the room, as you enter the room, directly opposite is quite clearly the one that belongs to Jasmal, because it is a female human. On her right, in a weird display of reverence, is a tomb sculpted in the shape of a tiefling. To her left is a tomb that is much smaller and appears to depict a halfling, perhaps? Either side of those two are 2 more humans. And then the 2 closest to the door is another human woman and a half-elf. The half-elf is difficult to gender, but from the stone carving you suspect that they might be female, just from the body shape. And in the center, underneath where the column of light comes directly down, is a quite clearly an altar of worship that at the moment has a golden candelabra in the center, but otherwise is devoid of items of worship. Give me a perception check, everyone. Okay.
Hey,
Well,
pretty good.
Well,
So,
high five, V.
high five.
the only person who notices this is Arya. Arya, this place is completely devoid of dust and cobwebs, and as you look around, you think you can see why.
Why?
Almost indistinguishable amongst the bright light, there are several small little motes of light that move around this chamber in an almost like rhythmic pattern. And they almost seem to like motes of dust in light. They seem to be just absorbing any dust or moisture that fills this place.
What the fuck?
Awesome.
Judging from your background and history, you suspect that these are actually lesser fae. Not even sort of like the sentient, intelligent kind. These are just sprites that just drift and subsist on whatever is around them. But these seem to have been deliberately summoned here to keep this place clean.
This is really intense.
That is a lot.
It is certainly not what any of you were expecting.
I guess Vondal would just say, like, I suppose this is what happens when the saved dictate the tomb of the savior.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess, the candelabra, I assume, is unlit.
It currently has no candles in it at all. It looks...
Damn it.
Judging from the way that everything in here has been cleaned, it's almost like these candles at some point have burned down and then the remnants of them have just been cleaned away.
I see.
I have 3 candles.
Yeah. It's as if nobody has been here for quite some time, yet the place is spotless. The candelabra has 3 spokes.
Oh shit! Perfect.
I've got 3 candles.
Hey, Vondal.
Yeah.
I think
guess-
what happens is, like, I approach it and go, like pat my bag, like, I don't have candles. Shit, I didn't
Yeah.
plan for this.
And Vondal will just like hands them out to you. Just gives them out.
Do they smell nice?
Oh yeah, are they good?
I mean,
candles?
they're
I mean-
wax candles.
Damn
Yeah.
it!
Damn.
I mean, this is Vondal we're talking about. He's bought the most basic candles. he
they're
can.
they're practical candles.
But yeah, this is the thing. What I imagine Vondal does is he goes to like the people, like he doesn't go to a really fancy place that undoubtedly already has lots of money because they can spend a lot of money making fancy candles. He goes to like a relatively unsuccessful candle maker and buys from there.
Yeah. He buys from the pauper's candle merchant.
Yeah.
Mostly because that's all you used to be able to afford, but...
Yeah. But it's a habit he sort of keeps, even if he does have lots of money, because he wants to give them money, because they're poor, and he
Yes.
wants to help.
Don't worry, soon you'll be able to afford your own candle merchant.
Wow.
I mean, I'm sorry, if Vondal's opening anything to help the poor, it's not a candle shop.
That's fair.
He'd go like back.
Anyway,
home and
that's a
open soup
discussion
kitchen.
from the surface.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess, like, I'll gladly accept the candles that Vondal offers to
Have some
me and,
candles.
like, light them, like, set them in and light them.
Okay.
I'll have to buy some new candles.
I will buy you new candles.
I will
I'll
buy
make
myself
myself
new
a note.
candles.
Get
I will...
Vondal candles. I snapped my lead.
You don't have to buy me candles.
No, I'm doing it.
You don't have to.
I
Anyway,
snapped my lead again. This was a mistake.
you light the
really-
candles.
You are
Yeah, I
really
like the
eager to
candles.
buy me candles.
I was aggressively writing. It's fine.
Buy Jayla lead. Pencil.
So the other tomb, do they have names, or is it just their likeness that is there?
They are only likeness.
Okay.
Yes, none of the tombs are labelled. The only reason you recognise Jasmal's is it's identical to the statue.
Right. Okay, that's fair.
But yeah, hang on, I need to write this down actually.
I suddenly feel very awkward because like I wasn't expecting a proper tomb down here, like on this sort of
Well,
scale, and
I
now I'm
guess-
just like at a loss for not having.
I guess
anything.
we were told it was 2 floors.
Well,
Yeah.
but we expected 2 floors of hell, not
Yeah,
2 floors of divine.
awesomeness.
Yeah.
On that note,
Oh.
there doesn't.
Yes.
It just seems to be one room.
Oh.
Secret tunnel
Oh boy.
through the tomb.
Here we
The second
go.
floor.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll go and I get because like I don't know who these other people are. Like I'm sure that they were great people. To be also like entombed down here, but I have no idea who they are. Just like respectfully nod at each of them. That's the best I can think of doing.
Okay.
I don't know who any of them are. But I will approach Jasmal's tomb specifically.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like respect to the other ones, but I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know who
This
you
is what
are.
I'm here for.
Yeah, like I'm sure you're all great. I have respect, but like, meh. Sorry I didn't bring anything.
So what do you do?
You know, I was kind of hoping there was like a really obvious like oh, here's the spear, because I don't want to break tombs open. That's bad.
Praying is a free action.
Praying is a free action. Yeah, but like, it's also weird because I'm not praying to her. You know, like it sounds weird to like I'm gonna kneel in front of her tomb and pray.
You can kneel in front of her tomb and play to somebody else.
Yeah, I know that is true. It just seems awkward. I think Kelariis is a little put off by how I guess like thrown off a little bit by how extravagant it is. So she's suddenly like, man, this is like weird. I wasn't expecting any of this. More hesitant than usual, I guess. But yeah, I think that is what eventually she settles on doing after standing there for a while, kind of like looking at the tomb, like, wow, that's a lot. That's a thing.
Like, I'd probably eventually suggest, do you want us to look for the other floor?
Yeah, if you'd like to do something while I have a moment, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
The rest of you guys can make an investigation check. Kelariis, what are you doing?
I will not awkwardly. I will kneel and I will pray to Tallithsyr, like, hey.
Okay.
I'm here. This is a real nice tomb. Help. No, not exactly like that, but it's the general idea of like I'm like, hey, look, I made it down here.
Okay. You're
gonna
praying for
ask for extra.
guidance.
Yeah, a guidance
Okay.
and kind of like, what's up? We're a lot of floors deep in this in the earth right now.
Okay. So, Grim and the others, you're searching around and struggling to find anything, really. This place is clinically sterile. Except, as you sort of finish your looking around, Grim, you're trying to picture this blueprint in your head. And as you do so, you remember that in the diagram opposite the door, the stairs were directly opposite the door. And Kelariis, as you sit there and pray, you feel a wind on your face. Even though there's no way that you could feel that, because how would there be wind down here? And you're kneeling directly in front of the tomb. But there is definitely a cold air coming from the tomb in front of you.
Would these two locations happen to be like the same spot, give or take? Where the stairs were supposed to be and where Kelariis is?
Pretty much.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think... Oh, go on.
Could they have hidden the stairs in her tomb? Or like in her...
Or under it.
Yeah,
See,
that's...
Secret door.
Maybe Vondal could do that thing where he just goes into the stone and then you can see if there's something on the other side. Can you melt into the ground? Is that a thing you can do?
But yes, I can technically merge with stone, but I cannot emerge from another side. I can only emerge from where I entered.
Oh, that's weird.
Well, there is always we could politely lift the... Because I assume there, like, it's like a lid kind of thing, like
Yeah, the stone likeness on the top is part of a lid.
Right. Yeah, because I think knowing that Grim was one of the people who had seen the thing and feeling the wind be like, is this where the stairs were? Because like I don't think any of us saw the...
No, only Grim and V saw the diagram.
Yeah, so like turning to kind of be like, eh?
like it's supposed to be here, so we can respectfully lift the lid, and if we find a corpse, we'll put it back on. But
is there anything else that looks like maybe it could be pressed or like pushed before we try lifting the lid?
Give me an investigation check.
Sure.
I will help.
Oh fuck,
Okay.
yeah. Well,
No.
I mean...
what is buttons?
Never mind.
Shit. Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm like, hey, sorry, Jasmal, and like, really carefully try to...
Strength check.
Well, I'll definitely help. As much as I can.
Oh,
Okay.
for fuck's sake.
Well,
So,
No, still.
with a great deal of care and shaking hands, you lift this lid. And very slowly place it next to the tomb. The moment you do so, it's immediately obvious that there is nobody entombed here.
Oh.
Because as the lid comes away, you can see a set of heavy marble stairs going downwards.
Well,
Guess we're going further down.
yeah.
Right.
Kelariis, you should
Yeah.
probably go first.
Yeah. Sorry, I was
Yeah.
like, I was writing something down very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess this sounds kind of weird, but like, freedom out and lit, because
Okay.
in my head it's, I don't know. This is her source of light.
Yes.
This is how it goes. Also, it's another artifact, so it's like, I'm not doing it thinking I'm gonna fight something, it's more just like, hey.
Yeah.
I'm here. But yeah. Down the stairs, I guess.
Okay. So, as you descend the stairs, things very quickly become a lot less clean. Not to the point where they're particularly dirty or uncared for, but it is definitely more dusty down here in the air. And as you reach the bottom, there is a chamber ahead that stretches out in front of you. And on the walls surrounding you, there are perhaps more in line with what it is that you expected to find. And that is, along the walls there are, carved into the walls in common script, are the tenets of Tritherion, repeated over and over. Each written in a different hand, to the point where there are 7 different sets of handwriting on the wall.
Huh.
The thing that surprises you the most, however, once your eyes settle, is that emerging out of the light in front of you, or emerging into your pool of light in front of you, and those of you who have dark vision will see this slightly before Kelariis does, emerges a large cat. But no,
Sorry, what?
Excuse me?
a cat with a woman's head.
A sphinx?
I mean, you can roll me a nature check.
Yes, let's roll nature checks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have no fucking clue.
You have never seen anything like this before.
I mean, we are in an ancient, basically Egyptian burial tomb. I would be surprised if we didn't find a sphinx.
Yeah, but we don't know what sphinxes are.
We
Yeah.
don't.
Wait,
Well, I do.
to be clear, like, is this a statue or?
It is walking towards you, so probably not a statue.
Okay,
Oh.
I wanted to clarify because I wasn't sure if this was like, I am approaching, here's the statue, or hey, there's something walking towards
Yeah.
us.
Oh, for a moment, you would be forgiven for mistaking that, but then you pause and it continues to come towards you.
Oh,
Um,
hooray. Does it do anything?
It stands in front of you, and in a cat-like stretch, bows before you?
What the fuck?
I bow back! Like thinking it's a greeting.
You bow back. Very good.
like it's
You pass the first test.
What?
Oh. I wasn't aware it was being tested, but thank you?
She smiles.
Do you live here?
Live would be perhaps a strong term.
Oh.
I am the guardian.
Do you have a name then? Or is it just Guardian?
I do. But it is not important. All that matters is the reason why you are here.
I've come seeking the spear of Tritherion, Crelestro.
And with that you pass the second test. Well then. I suppose if this is the pace we are moving forward, then I had best proceed with the third test. And with that, she raises her front paws, and 4 globes of light emerge from her paws and light up the room. And you can see behind her is a heavy stone door, carved with a likeness that is weirdly familiar to you, Kelariis, but completely unusual to everyone else. And it is of a young man with shoulder-length hair who holds aloft a sword, and standing next to him is a hound, on his shoulder a hawk, and standing like behind him, almost like curled around his ankles, is some form of lizard. Strapped to his back is a long spear, and on emerging from his other shoulder behind the hawk is a rod. Kelariis, you've seen this face before, but only as like momentary glimpses in your dreams, or in moments of lucid consciousness when you've seen your deity.
Oh shit.
Right.
And the Sphinx lets down her paws and says, "If you are to pass to the next trial, answer me this riddle."
Shit.
Get your pens and paper ready, boys and girls.
Alright, here we go.
Normally, the rule is 3 answers per challenger. But I think perhaps that would give you too many chances. So as a group, 3 you shall have, but I shall allow you to confer. But be cautious. From the moment I finish my riddle, anything you address to me will be considered one of your guesses. Are you ready for me to continue?
Yes.
Good. We hurt without moving. Poison without touching. Sharp like a blade, yet weigh no more than air. We can be truth, and we can be lies, yet we cannot be judged by simply our size. What are we? Out of character, Google is cheating.
Yeah, no, totally fair.
Gathered.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah.
I thought about that, but I was like, that.
I was trying to write down the riddle.
Yeah,
so-
same,
Yeah.
but I couldn't do it
Yeah.
fast enough.
Oh, you guys are lame.
What?
Why are we late?
Type quick. You're gonna need to type quicker.
Thanks.
Wow.
To be fair, I was handwriting it, so I made a mistake.
Uh,
You guys are weak.
Wow.
So, the Sphinx gives you time to confer.
well, the
I will make you a correction, Helena. Hurt is the first, not we heard.
Oh.
Oh.
It's words, right?
See, I heard as well, but I thought you meant a
Yeah,
different type of herd.
I also
H-U-R-T.
Cool.
Okay.
like, yeah, words is the only obvious one.
What words?
Words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Words can hurt without moving. Poison without touching.
Poison
They can
without
be
touching is kind of a
they can
weird
be-
one.
They
Yeah,
can be
but-
sharp
Well,
like
Wait,
poisoned words.
you can
Poison
corrupt-
words, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very
They
common
can be
Corruption
sharp
is
like a
fine.
blade. They weigh no more than air. They can be truth and lies, and you cannot judge them simply by their size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's our first guess.
Well, Kelariis?
Well, should we think?
Do we want to come up with several guesses first, or do we want to
Yeah.
just take them as?
I mean, we
guess-
can just. We have 3 guesses, right? So.
Well, I don't know. Should we assemble some guesses? I feel like assembling other possibilities.
I feel like we can say the
Okay.
first guess. 'Cause that's wrong.
Okay, do the first guess.
Yeah.
Go on, class.
Uh,
You gotta specifically address the things.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I assumed like we all kind of like turned to huddle together for this quick
Yep.
conversation.
Yeah.
And then like turn around. Just Are you words?
Sphinx looks at you passively for a moment. Well thought, champion.
Yay!
Huzzah!
Shit.
I like
try,
riddles.
bitches.
Fuck yeah.
I like riddles.
Riddles are fun.
Good old sphinxes.
She draws the 4 floating lights inwards before moving them to the door, and with a huge paw beckons you to approach and moves towards the door.
We'll do.
Okay.
Just Kelariis.
I feel like it should be just Kelariis.
Well, if,
I mean,
if
yeah, like the gesture isn't specifically to Kelariis, but
Right, okay. Well, if it's not specifically to Kelariis, I guess I'll go slowly.
none of you are contested if you move forward.
Okay.
So yeah, you move towards the doors. The Sphinx places her paws upon the door and pushes them open, which leads into another chamber. In the middle of this chamber is another statue, this time of the large, the young man with the long hair, the sword, the spear, the scepter, and the 3 animals. And kneeling at the foot of it at a small altar is something that you guys are fairly familiar with. It appears to be a ghost.
Oh.
Except, instead of being made of a strange sort of pale, bluish-white substance, it appears to be made of radiant light.
Interesting.
Holy Ghost.
As you walk towards it, you realise that at first you thought it was just a case of scale of the statue and the figure, but this figure is quite short, probably no more than 4 feet in height. And as it turns to face you, you see it has a set of leather armor with heavy metal pauldrons. It carries I think it's a longsword? Yeah, longsword. Yeah, it carries a longsword and a shield with an insignia on it that, if anybody wants to make me a history check, you might recognize.
Hell yeah.
I'd like to. I'm so sorry, but I cut out when you started talking about what the figure was carrying.
Okay, yeah, leather armor, heavy metal pauldrons, longsword, and shield with an insignia that you might recognize if you make a history check.
Okay. I did
I
actually
know.
catch more than I thought.
I did good.
I'd like to check. Yeah, probably not.
Oh shit, Grim.
Grim
Okay.
damage shame.
So,
Oh, me.
Grim and Vondal,
Three
it
I
is,
rolled the same thing.
it is only because... No, you didn't roll the same thing.
Well,
You got the same results. So, as you approach, you see this insignia, and Grim and Vondal, it's only from growing up or having participated in halfling culture that you recognize this. This is a halfling clan insignia, and it's one that you guys actually recognize because it's a fairly... In the modern day and age, it's a fairly pertinent halfling family. It is the insignia of the Brambleback family. What a member of the Brambleback family is doing this far south is very strange to you guys. Like, they have you've never known them to be particularly adventurous. They are wine merchants that trade a great deal with the northern human kingdoms, and to a degree with the dwarves, although the dwarves are significantly less interested in wine. But they do a number of other things. They do a handful of meads and other things that are of interest to the dwarves. But yeah, it seems weird that a member of the Brambleback family would be this far south. Not to mention being a radiant ghost.
Yeah. In any other situation, Vondal would make a comment, but he's not going to here.
Okay.
Looks like that would be disrespectful.
So the figure rises from its position of worship and begins to walk towards you. As it approaches, it seems to... its gaze passes over all of you, and then it focuses particularly on Kelariis holding the sword aloft, and then turns to the Sphinx and says, "So, you bring me another challenger."
Oh. God. Yeah, okay, that's fair.
The Sphinx nods. Very well.
I have a question before whatever is going to happen. I don't know how much detail I can see in the form of like this radiant ghost, but does the longsword perhaps look a little familiar?
No.
Okay, never mind then.
Um,
Immediately thrown out the window.
Yeah, the longsword does not look anything like your sword.
Okay, that's fair. Alright, well.
Guess we're giving him some space.
So yeah, are you saying something?
Yeah, I guess just... May I ask who it is that you are? I am Kelariis Greysurge. And I guess like I kind of, not like a bow, but like a respectful nod kind of thing. Or like a half bow, actually.
Yeah, okay, so you do respectful greeting.
Yeah.
And he looks at you and says, "Well, I suppose introductions might be in order. I must say I'm a little offended you don't know who I am."
Forgive me, I'm not necessarily well versed in all histories.
I suppose that's forgivable. I am Heffen Brambleback.
Heffen?
Heffen.
Heffen. Oh, it's close.
It's Welsh.
Fair.
Oh, I was one letter off. I was spelling it in my head with two F's.
Yeah, same. Is that a name that I recognize at all?
Nope. None of you have ever heard of it.
Awesome. Well, it is a pleasure to meet you then.
Hi.
Though I will admit I'm a bit curious why you are here. I don't mean that with disrespect.
Did you not see me up above? He points upwards.
Ah,
Oh my god.
I see. I didn't know that that was you. Well, in that case... Well met.
Well met indeed.
Well met.
Weird. I wasn't expecting any of this.
Just suddenly, well met.
Hail and well met. No. Okay.
Okay. He sort of rolls his shoulders and sort of says, well, we can either do this the traditional way, or I see you've brought a handful of friends. They're welcome to join in.
Do you mean
Join.
this? Trying to think like how sassy Kelariis would be about that. Do you mean to think that I couldn't take you on my own?
Damn.
Okay. He sort of places his hands on his hips and raises an eyebrow at you and says, "Just because I'm short doesn't mean I can't put up a good fight."
Oh my god.
That's not
God
what I'm
damn it,
not.
Helena.
Also,
Okay,
Helena,
no, I
please.
think that's great. I don't love it. But I
That's
think
good.
Well,
I actually think Vondal might speak up at that and just like gesture to Grim as he says this and be like, you two of her companions, I believe she wouldn't judge you on that based on her company.
besides, I've beat her ass once.
Grim
Wow.
is without a doubt one of the hardiest people in our party.
Yeah, I can't believe Grim just like called Kelariis out in front
Yep.
of the person that she's gonna challenge. Apparently.
That's Grim. He's very
That's
blunt.
about right.
Look, he was defending defending short people, and I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I stand behind
Yeah,
you.
Yeah,
you-
sure.
You a real bro.
Yeah, high five, Grim.
He, Heaven turns towards you, looks at you for a moment, smiles, and you swear he winks at you.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Gnome solidarity.
He's a halfling, not a gnome.
Yeah, he's a halfling. Which means we have one of all the shorter races in this room right now. Halfling, gnome, and dwarf.
So,
I feel like
one-on-one or
regret.
classic
Huh?
brawl?
Sorry, repeat that.
So he said one-on-one or a classic brawl?
Oh, my pride is telling me to do it one-on-one, but all of my like player instincts are like, don't do it,
What
you
would
You
Kelariis
can do
idiot.
it one-on-one. I mean, you can do it one-on-one. Like, I don't see any, like, I don't know, I feel like it's more a test of your...
Yeah, and
Yeah,
like
I
all
don't
my
think it's gonna be an
pride.
actual fight.
I mean, I don't know.
You're gonna get your ass beat, my friend.
I know I'm gonna get my ass whooped, but like, I have pride. I'm stubborn.
The amount of hesitation with that. With which that was
What was-
said.
What would
No, that's
Kelariis
Jayla
do?
hesitating. Kelariis, no, Kelariis knows what she's about. No, I will face you.
Very well then. He gestures to the rest of you and says, "You might want to stand back. I need a lot of room to work." Sort of like rolls his shoulders at this.
Are you sure this is a good idea, Kelariis?
Nope,
I will-
not at all.
I will smirk a bit and step back.
Okay.
I guess the one question before you start, is this to the death or just till surrender?
Well, I'm already dead.
Kelariis.
You know,
Yeah, I guess
Kelariis.
that's
Because I will admit he would have an unfair advantage in that sense, were it to be to the death.
well, I'm sure this will work out fine. I will Well, we should probably just step out the room and just be outside the door, right?
I disagree.
Well, no, don't stand outside the room. Just stand at the edges of the room, like up against the walls.
Yeah.
Are we really leaving Kelariis to do this on her own?
If that's what Kelariis wants to do, I will respect her decision.
Sometimes what people want to do is not always the best choice.
Well,
I will
this
be
is
ready to
between
step
her,
in if things go
Tertiarian,
too
and
far.
this guy.
I would step in if I thought things were going too far. But this is her quest after all. I will not leave her to die here, but well, this is her moment.
Well said.
This guy is like.
And I'll just
really
sort of
controlling for me.
place a reassuring hand on V's arm.
You can't let. Okay, no. V's just gonna like push away the hand and just be
Oh,
like,
damn. I can't believe she's rejecting Von Dad.
she's rejecting dumb ideas.
Yeah.
Nah.
Actually, Heffin,
Yes.
I know what I just said, but I wouldn't have gotten this far without them. I will leave the decision up to you, but they are as much a part of the reason that I am here to begin with, and that I have freedom and the baton as I am myself. I will not call for an unfair fight, but they stand with me, and I appreciate that, and I respect them for that. To ask them to stand out after, or to ask them to sit aside after going through everything together, that is not honorable either.
Heaven just sort of shrugs and says, "The more the merrier."
Okay, Vondal just smiles, nods, and will stand on your left.
Okay.
Well, I guess I can be your right hand man then.
I'm sure this will go fantastically.
Yeah. Okay.
That was I would just like to say that was like a fucking whole conversation Kelariis just had with herself in her head.
Good. It was very convincing.
But she's learning. She's learning
Okay.
that she doesn't always have to be stubborn and I will do this alone.
Yeah. In fact, probably Vondal, when he stands next to Kelariis, just says, "Well said,"
I try.
as always.
Okay. So, I don't have a battle map for this, so we'll do Theatre of the Mind.
Okay.
Ooh.
I need to remove my laptop first.
Oh yeah, we can pause. I
Alright.
could do with some water.